Hey everyone, today we're diving into a really cool toolkit for Python developers called Marvin. So if you've ever tried adding AI features to your apps and just wished the whole process was simpler, more reliable, and, just more elegant, then you're definitely going to want to hear this. Let's get right into it.
All right, so before we even look at what Marvin does, let's talk about the why. We need to understand the problem it was built to solve. We're going to start with the common headaches developers run into when they try to wire up AI, especially large language models, into their code. I bet this hits close to home for some of you. If you're a Python developer and you've played with models from, say, OpenAI or Anthropic, you know how powerful they are. But actually getting them to work reliably inside your application can feel, it can feel like a chore, right? A lot of repetitive work. And yeah, these are the big ones. You find yourself writing the same prompt engineering boilerplate over and over again. You have to manually code up all the logic for what happens when an API call fails or times out. And then the model sends back this messy string of text, and you have to write a parser just to pull out the data you actually need. It's just a ton of friction that gets in the way of building the thing you really want to build.
And that is exactly where Marvin comes in. It's designed to be this truly Pythonic solution that just smooths over all those rough edges. It lets you focus on what you want the AI to do, not all the tedious details of how to wrestle with the API. So here's the official definition. At its core, Marvin is a library that was built from day one with the developer's happiness in mind. Its whole reason for being is to provide these clean, simple tools for common AI jobs, making the entire experience feel more dependable and, honestly, a lot more fun. I love this analogy because it just clicks. Using raw LLM APIs is like being a chef who has to go out and forage for every single ingredient, chop all the wood, and build a new oven every single time they want to cook a meal. Sure, you can do it, but it's exhausting. Marvin, on the other hand, is like walking into a fully stocked kitchen with your favorite go-to recipes and reliable appliances. The whole process is just way faster and a lot more consistent. Okay, but talk is cheap, right? Let's actually see what this looks like in code. We're going to walk through a real example that shows just how simple this can be. Let's take a classic task, sentiment analysis. You've got some text, and you just want to know if it's positive, negative, or neutral. With a raw API, this means writing a detailed prompt, sending it out, waiting for a response, and then writing code to parse that response. But with Marvin, it's a different story.
Just look at this. This is the Marvin way. All you do is import something called an AI classifier, and then you define your categories, positive, negative, neutral, inside a totally standard Python class. And that's it. It's not really even code, it's more like a declaration of what you want. You're telling the AI, hey, these are the only 3 labels I want you to use. And Marvin handles everything else in the background.
And that's the punchline. What used to be a pretty involved task is now solved in 3 clean lines of Python. That is the kind of simplicity we're talking about. So how does this magic actually work? Let's peek under the hood a little bit. We'll break down the key pieces that make Marvin so effective, and that'll help us see exactly where it fits in your AI toolkit. The first big piece of the puzzle is what Marvin calls AI decorators. You just saw the @AI classifier one. There are others, like @AIFN and @AIModel, that basically let you supercharge normal Python functions and classes. You just add one little line above your code and you turn it into a powerful AI-driven tool. Now, this second component is absolutely crucial: structured outputs. Marvin uses another popular library called Pydantic under the hood. What this means is that when the AI sends back a response, you don't just get a messy string of text. No way. You get a clean, predictable, type-safe Python object that your application can use right away, reliably, every single time. It's a total game changer. Next up is something that will save you so many headaches: built-in error handling. Think about it. What if the network glitches? What if the model just returns something weird or nonsensical? Marvin takes care of all of that for you, with automatic retries and graceful error handling, making your app way more robust without you having to write a single extra line of code for it. And finally, it all just works together nicely. Marvin is built to integrate seamlessly with the big model providers like OpenAI and Anthropic. You set up your API keys once, and you can switch between models pretty easily, which keeps your main application logic clean and not tied to any one provider. So let's get practical. The key is knowing when to reach for this tool. Marvin is absolutely perfect when you're adding a specific AI feature to an app, when you need reliable and repeatable results for common patterns, and when you just really value clean Pythonic code.
On the flip side, if you're trying to build really complex, multi-step AI agents, or you need a full-blown RAG framework, that's retrieval augmented generation, then Marvin might be a bit too lightweight for the job. And you know what? That's totally okay. A good developer knows their entire toolkit. For those heavier jobs, you might look at a full framework like LangChain. For specialized tasks, you've got tools like Crew AI for agents or Llama Index for RAG. And of course, if you need absolute fine-grained control, you can always go back to using the direct APIs. The beauty of Marvin is that it knows what it is and it doesn't try to be everything. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's boil this all down to the most important things you need to remember about what Marvin really brings to the table for you as a developer. We're going to focus on just 3 things that truly define what makes Marvin so valuable. So, number 1, Marvin is all about clean, focused utilities for the most common AI jobs, like classification and extracting structured data. 2, it is the perfect tool for when you want to add a specific AI feature without dragging in a huge, complicated framework. And 3rd, it's all about the developer experience. It makes using AI in your code feel elegant and natural, just like any other well-designed Python library should.
So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. As you look at the projects you're working on, where do you have a clunky or tedious AI integration that is just begging for a simple, clean utility to solve it? How could a tool like Marvin make your life easier on your next project? Thanks for tuning in.